All right, meanwhile, President Trump's agenda facing more legal setbacks as 3 federal judges block key actions. Here we go. Like requiring proof of citizenship to vote.
Heaven forbid you have to show that you're here legally.
Next thing you know, we'll have honest elections. Withholding funding from sanctuary cities, which are unconstitutional in my view, but I guess not in that judge's view, and ordering the administration to return a second suspected migrant gang member from El Salvador.
Madeleine Rivera joins us from Washington. Hey, Maddie.
Hey guys, good afternoon, good morning rather. Yeah, and in several of these cases, the federal judges say the president overstepped his authority when issuing some of his executive orders. Last month, for instance, the president signed an EO overhauling the way federal elections are run. Yesterday, a federal judge in D.C. blocked a portion of that EO, specifically the provisions requiring people to provide proof of citizenship before being allowed to register to vote. Judge Colleen Kolar-Cotelli says, our Constitution entrusts Congress and the states, not the president, with the authority to regulate federal elections. Also yesterday, another judge in California blocked the Trump administration from stripping federal funds for sanctuary cities. Judge William Orrick writes the threat to withhold funding causes them irreparable injury in the form of budgetary uncertainty, deprivation of constitutional rights, and undermining trust between the cities and counties and the communities they serve. And finally, a Maryland judge is ordering the government to bring back another man who was deported to El Salvador. The 20-year-old Venezuelan man, identified only as Christian in court documents, came to the U.S. as an unaccompanied minor. He was removed last month, violating a settlement agreement reached last year, preventing his deportation while his asylum case plays out in court. In her order, Judge Stephanie Gallagher makes a reference to Kilmar Abrego-Garcia, whose status remains in limbo. Gallagher says, like Judge Paul Azinis in the Abrego-Garcia matter, this court will order defendants to facilitate Christian's return to the United States so that he can receive the process he was entitled to under the parties' binding settlement agreement. The Trump administration is expected to appeal some of the judge's decisions, so we expect the legal back and forth on this to continue for several weeks, you guys. Back to you.
Thanks, Maddie.
You got it.
I mean, first, just on that decision on sanctuary cities, not surprising. Yeah. Same thing happened in 2017 when the president took over the first time. It seems unconstitutional, and they were working their way up, and I think they got distracted. Now, of course, it's a Barack Obama judge that says you can't do that. So sanctuary cities, to me, I think that it's the only leverage you have. If you're going to give these states money, the only leverage you have for them to enforce the law is to withhold those funds. But a judge says you can't decide to do that. But to being a sanctuary city for illegals seems fundamentally unconstitutional.
Well, I mean, it's just common sense. You can't vote unless you're a citizen. I mean, how could you come to this country illegally? Yeah, on the other one, on the first one she was talking about, because the House, they already passed a bill saying you have to be a citizen. You have to show proof of citizenship in order to vote. There are also some other judges around the country that are blocking, as you all know, there have been so many injunctions. There are 2 federal judges, one in Maryland and one in New Hampshire, that shot down the DEI in public schools order from Donald Trump for K through 12. Donald Trump squashed the DEI in public schools, says, I'm not going to give you federal funding for your state if you continue to do this. But they were sued by the ACLU, the National Education Association, Maryland chapter of Federation of Teachers, saying that it violates the First Amendment rights. And these 2 judges in those 2 states have said they rule with the ACLU and those other 2 groups.
And the higher courts have clearly ruled again and again that when it comes to immigration, it is the special purview of the federal government. And so when you have these states doing everything they can to undermine it, it's a real problem. But when you have voters who have completely fired Democrats from every branch of government, every lever of power in Washington, all they have left is to go to the courts and complain. Right. And you wind up with, and a lot of these are procedural things that maybe get worked out. But it is also a reminder that having Congress, some of the procedural things are good points, but and it's a reminder that having Congress do their job and do things so that you don't have illegals voting is actually a really important thing, it turns out.
Well, and they're always going to find a judge that's going to side with them. They're going to find some Democratic judge that's leftist that was maybe appointed by.
Yeah, it's easier to find a judge than it is to get a bill passed.
You're right.
And so that's what they do.
And so you got the one is the executive orders, then you got the judge fair, and that's what we're in the middle of right now. So they did a Fox poll, and the president not happy about it, but he's happy about this one. When it comes to border security, 50% of the country says it is better since he took over. 22% says it's worse, which is who are those people? When in 2023 it was 11% thought it was better, when, of course, we had Mayorkas in charge. and worth 51%. So obviously border security is an area of great improvement. I think immigration too, but shockingly, 49-50, people think that illegal immigration, Trump's only gets 49% of the people to 50%, which is, that to me, I mean, it will make me want to revisit that poll.
Yeah, exactly. This is the flaw of polls. He does the best for border security, but he's underwater on immigration. So what is and I think
There's a disconnect here.
Yeah, exactly. I think it's mostly just, when you have somebody who's trying to, say, deport an MS-13 gang member, and 90% of the media accuses him of deporting a Maryland dad, what you wind up with is just sort of a negative feeling that people have. And it's what Trump has been fighting against his entire political career.
There's a congresswoman, her name is Frederica Wilson. She represents Florida.
Great hats. Great hats.
Yes, and she is a Democrat. And it's so weird. She had this press conference on the side of the road and like the woods behind her and a few cars. But anyway, she went live on Instagram. She said she visited the ICE Crone Detention Center in Miami. And so then she holds this news conference and was blaming the Laken Riley Act for increased migrant detentions. She said, I wanted to see dangerous people picked off the street, and I didn't see that. She said, I saw hardworking men behind bars. So here's a portion of that press conference yesterday that went live.
Because of the new Riley Act that was passed, people are going to be picked up off the street every day and sent here. As new detainees come in, they try to ship people out, but they can't keep up with the pace because of the Riley Act. You could have been here forever. And just for some crazy little thing, box something, pick up, walking across the street, jaywalking, shoplifting, they will detain you and bring you right here.
She also urged for
By the way, those are crimes. Shoplifting, as far as I know.
Right.
Minor point.
Yeah, a lot of people get in trouble when they commit crime.
Right.
Why?
So she urged people to threaten their lawmakers, and she actually used that word, threaten. She said, we need an uprising where people are taking to the streets and phones and writing letters.
I'm Steve Ducey.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.